It's time for the Saturday Sports Show on WMIX. On your radio at AM 940 and online at mywithersradio.com. Recognized by the Illinois Broadcasters Association as one of the premier radio feature programs in the state. You're about to roam the region with more guests and content courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. Live from the Powerhouse, the Saturday Sports Show starts now.
And good morning. Welcome into the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. So glad to have you with us as we preview your midwinter tournaments. Many of them getting started next week. Heck, there's some even getting started today. It's hard to believe, but we are to that point of the basketball season where your midwinter tournaments are getting underway. We know the Highland Girls Tournament gets started today. We'll talk about that one. We'll have a pretty heavy load of guests here on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Glad to have you on WMIXsports.com, and of course you can listen on any device on WMIXsports.com. We hope you're taking the time to tune in today because you won't want to miss the talk about all of the midwinter tournaments in our area going on. Scott Gamber, the Mountford and Rams, will join us, of course, in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll talk about his 64-54 win over Carbondale. I should say his team, the Mountford and Rams. You heard it on WMIX-FM. You watched it on WMIXsports.com. And heck, right now, if you want to go back and relive the moments from Shagnon Gymnasium last night, log on to WMIXsports.com. We have highlights on our YouTube channel. Check them all out. Jeff Lonnon, Mountford and Letty Rams head coach. His team beat Carbondale this week as well. They also got a big win over Althoff on Monday night. We'll talk with Coach Lonnon about his team's recent success. 6-0 on the season. They are 14-3 overall. Mike McManus, of course, of X95 and the Big 12-10, WRXX and WILY, as well as your Morning Sentinel sports editor, will stop by. We'll talk about the Salem Invitational Tournament. We'll also talk about the Highland Girls Tournament that starts today and some of the local teams of interest in that one. Neil Hamon, he is the athletic director at Nashville. We'll talk about the Nashville Invitational Tournament and just how great of a tournament that is this year. When you see a team like the Nashville Hornets with the 6th seed in that tournament, it tells you just how loaded for bear the NIT is this year.
I can't believe. I mean, every year those schools get together and they play some great basketball over there. And they're one of those things is the fact that with the NIT, you get Mater Dei, you get Central, defending state champs in Central. You get Nashville, Westland, among others. They throw in T-Town this year. What a great addition. The Wooden Shoes slipped down and come into Nashville this week to replace Waltonville, who got back in the Midland Trail. So very impressive NIT. And in this day and age, Neil Hammond, Brad Weathers, and others at Nashville need a lot of credit for getting together teams to come in and play in that tournament.
Well, I think you have to give them a lot of credit for getting T-Town into that tournament to replace Waltonville, but give T-Town a lot of credit for getting out of the National Trail because that helped open them up for a midwinter tournament. Jeffrey Drake, of course, of sister stations WEBQ, WQRL, WMCL, WISH, will join us later on in the program. We'll talk about the Carmi-White County Invitational Tournament. And then our guest following that used to go to Carmi. Now his team's in the Little Illini Conference, who has a conference tournament. Rob Flanagan, head coach of the Olney East Richland Tigers. We'll talk to him as well in the 9 o'clock hour. And then one of the show favorites, Ron Winemiller, head coach of the Benton Rangers. We'll talk the 40th Annual Benton Invitational Tournament. And you already know we're going to get off track with Ron Winemiller, so we'll have him on last and kind of make him the anchor of the program a little bit later on. Of course, we will in-house dissect the Midland Trail Conference Tournament, talk about your seeds, and talk about whom plays who and when and which games you can find on the dial come Tuesday night. Of course, plenty coming up here on your Saturday Sports. We also have a scoreboard from WMIXsports.com that we are going to talk about. And let's see. Why don't we go ahead and get that scoreboard?
I'm ready. I'm multitasking. South 7 last night in the game here on WMIX. Mount Vernon beat Carbondale at home 64-54. Centralia beat Althoff 57-56. Colquitt beat Marion 78-35. In the River to River, Mississippi, it was Nashville beating DuQuoin 57-40. Pinckneyville over Sparta 39-31. And Carterville beat AJ 49-42. In the Ohio, Massac beat Heron on the road 50-42. And Murphy in a slugfest beat West Frankfort 34-28. Tyrant County, Tennessee, gave Harrisburg their first loss of the year, 76-68. Black Diamond last night, Goreville over Christopher, 57-49, and a good one. Cecil gets revenge on ZR, 48-30 from a loss in the holiday tournament. JC over Hamilton County, 71-55. And Fairfield beat Carmi, 53-40. In the Midland Trail last night, Weber Township over Sandoval, 57-28. Clay City beat Wayne City, 50-36. Sisney over Grayville, 53-50. Altamont beat North Clay 71-55 non-conference. Galatia over Crab Orchard GEC 74-57. In the SEC, it was Meridian over Century, 70-48. Egyptian, in a non-conference game, beat Caro 81-70 at the FedEx Forum in Memphis. Over on the east side of us, it's Cumberland over Edwards County, 59-51. Newton over Lawrenceville, 66-41. And Flora beat Oblong, 64-59. Robinson over Marshall, 56-52. Effingham over Salem, 71-44. And Mount Zion beat Charleston, 69-57. T-Town beat Ogden, 45-41. Boonville, Indiana beat Mount Carmel, 69-57. And Strauss beat Cowden Herrick, 56-40. Mater Dei over St. Anthony, 65-57. Oakville over Westland, 58-49. Lebanon over Bunker Hill, 52-20. Carlisle over Freeburg, 48-41. Belleville West beat Collinsville, 63-49. Beast beat Granite City, 60-55. East St. Louis beat Soldan, Missouri, 69-59. Edwardsville over Alton, 68-50. Triad beat Columbia in a shocking score, 45-26. Patoka beat St. Elmo, 39-35. And what do we want to call this score? The random score of the night, it was Metro St. Louis 85, Sumner, Missouri 3 in girls basketball on the Missouri side of things.
Thanks for participating. That's your WMIXsports.com scoreboard from last night, and of course you can find that on Facebook as well. We'll take a break, come back, talk with Mount Vernon Rams head coach Scott Gamber. His team is Mount Vernon.
Yeah,
they beat Carbondale last night, 64-54. We'll come back, talk with Coach Gamber here, courtesy of Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital. It's what
healthcare should be.
There we go. Back after these. Natural flow. We'll get there.
After some early season success, the Rams and Lady Rams find themselves looking for more wins in 2013. Hi, I'm Rick Pigg, Vice President of Community First Bank of the Heartland. With more South 7 Conference play and midwinter tournaments on the horizon, WMIX and WMIXsports.com has all the action. See what Baby New Year has in store for Mount Vernon Rams and Lady Rams basketball on WMIX, powered by Community First Banks of the Heartland. Welcome back to Personal Banking.
The Medicine Shop Pharmacy offers convenience and great service, all for the same cost. Our pharmacy staff is so helpful. They're always ready to answer any questions you may have. You'll never wait hours for your prescription. We'll get you in and out in just minutes. Or, for added convenience, use one of our 2 drive-through windows. For those folks who prefer to stay home, our delivery service will bring the medications to your front door or your workplace. Here's pharmacist and pharmacy owner Eric Black to tell you more.
Home delivery does make us stand out from the crowd. Independents like the Medicine Shop offer home delivery. People find that so convenient, and not just seniors, but also busy professionals. Delivery to work or to their home once they get home in the evenings is just a service that sets us apart from our competition, absolutely.
It's so easy to transfer your prescriptions. All it takes is a phone call from you, and we'll take care of the rest. The Medicine Shop Pharmacy accepts Medco, TRICARE, Express Scripts, and many other 90-day plans. The Medicine Shop, 2339 Broadway in Mount Vernon. Southern Illinois now has a better home for sports. It's the all-new WMIXsports.com. Jam-packed with local scores, video highlights, and archives of every local sports broadcast on WMIX. Did your team win? Missed that game-winning shot last night? Didn't catch your favorite coach on the Saturday Sports Show? WMIXsports.com is right at your fingertips. On your computer, your smartphone, your tablet, or your video game console. It's the all-new WMIXsports.com. Another free service from Withers Broadcasting.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Glad to have you with us, however you may be accessing us. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WMIX Sports. Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
You're fine. You're fine. There's just there
are
a lot of distractions this morning.
I was on it. I'm a professional, allegedly.
But my flow was messed up, so that happens. But Scott Gamber, head coach of the Mount Vernon Rams, joins us on the Saturday Sports Show. Rams beat the Terriers at home last night, 64-54, and what a win it was, Scott Gamber. Great win for the Mount Vernon Rams.
Yeah, that was really needed. With I don't think we've played bad over this stretch. We just didn't get any wins, and when you don't get any wins, you even with not playing too bad, you sure don't feel real good about yourselves. And home game and a conference game, and it was a big one for us because if you lose last night, not only just have you continued that stretch of not getting wins, but it also would put us 2-3 in the bottom half of the conference, and really looking up at 3 different schools. And as it was, being able to get that win, it gets you 3-2. It gets you tied with Althoff and Centralia, and it, just one game behind Cahokia, and right there in the conference race halfway through it. So that was big to get a win last night, and probably more important, or just as important as that, to do it playing well. And I thought offensively, probably the best we've played as far as we hit some perimeter shots. We got to the rim. We finished. We scored a lot of points. Especially you take away after the first quarter, we scored a ton of points the second through the fourth quarter, and defensively, we had to go to zone for the first time this year, but our kids did a really nice job in the zone and really surpassed expectations. It's one thing we've worked on it for a few weeks, and it's one thing to be able to do it in practice, but then to carry it over and do it so well. For our seniors, that's the first time in their high school career where they played zone defense in a game. So that was great on their part to execute it so well. I thought they did a really nice job rebounding out of it, because that was my big fear, was how we could rebound against Carbondale in our zone.
So should we look forward to maybe some 1-3-1, Amoeba, or any other zones the rest of the way?
No. I think we have to be a man team. I think that's our best defense for the long run. But I do think it's something that we're going to have to look at times. Against a team like Carbondale who can spread you out. Carbondale doesn't have a kid that's always in the post. They can spread you out. They can play 4 or 5 guards and really attack you and put you in some binds there. And early in the game last night, we were going under ball screens, and Payne hit back-to-back threes when we went under a ball screen, and then a couple times where we did a better job of getting over it. They hit the roll man, they turned the corner, and we just weren't doing a very good job handling their attack. And we thought, well, maybe we can slow them down in our 2-3, and they got into a little bit of foul trouble, and I thought our kids did a nice job of keeping them from getting to the basket in that zone.
Let's talk about this game and what has happened recently in the last 3 or 4 or 5 games. How important was it for your team to get a win and get out and get a win before the Salem tournament next week?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, we've been good at home, but yeah, we did not want to go into playing Effingham, who does a million good things, who defensively is really good. We didn't want to go into playing them with another loss under our belt. We know how tough it's going to be to get Effingham Wednesday. So that was huge for us. And it was nice for us to, like I said, thank goodness it was not a barn burner there at the end when we missed 6 straight free throws, which could have been disastrous if that's a 5-point game or a 3-point game. But luckily, our kids had built a nice lead going into that. And I thought our kids did a really nice job of continuing to attack once we got the lead. I mean, they made a run there, I think in the third quarter, and got it to 8. But then our kids went right back and built that lead back up to 14, and really never let it waver much until that very end. And Carbondale did some shots there. The Payne kid hit 2 threes from really deep there late in the game to keep cutting it to 10 every time we looked like we were going to really pull away. So credit to them, and then we've just got to make more free throws. We've got to make free throws down the stretch in the fourth quarter. But if you can get a couple stops, if you can handle pressure and just not turn it over, even if you miss a couple free throws, you'll still have a chance to win. But in this stretch, we've been missing free throws, and then every time we miss a free throw, we give up a basket on the defensive end. I thought we did a lot better job last night on the defensive end there.
More of on the offensive question now. How quiet were the points put up by Trevor Flota and Braden Fitzgerald's last night? 39 combined, but it had to be the quietest 39 points I've seen ever in a ball game.
Yeah, those two guys played really well last night offensively, and both of them in different ways. I mean, I think Braden, you guys might have it in front of you. I know he had 3 threes. I was thinking he had 4 threes.
He had 4.
But 4 3, I mean, that's 4 threes. I don't remember missing him. I don't remember him missing a 3. If he did it, it couldn't have been more than 1 or 2. Played really well and did a really nice job of our Wildcat series of reading the screen, and twice I thought he did a great job of. His man went under, he popped, hit the shot. I mean, he made some really nice reads, and I thought Trevor did a nice job. I mean, he hit the perimeter shot early, and it really got them kind of chasing, and he did a great job of sweeping and getting to the basket and finishing. And I thought maybe offensively, I thought Michael Caesar maybe had his best game of the year. He did some really good things last night, not just finishing around the basket, but the one that stands out to me, that, you know, after thinking about the game, there at the end of the third quarter, Trevor Flota drove left, kicked it to Michael, and Michael, that was a really smart play, because you're thinking the clock's running down. I thought, probably needed to shoot it, but he knew he had enough time, shot fake, drove baseline, and then put it up and scored right at the buzzer, and that was a big play for us. So we got a lot out of those 3 offensively last night. I mean, like you said, the 39 there, and then 11 or 13 from Michael last night. So that was like I said, I think it was our best offensive effort we've had of the year.
Well, and a great offensive effort, and most importantly, we talked about this in the post-game show last night. You get a game at home where you're undefeated in between some tough losses, and then heading into the Salem tournament where you'll battle Effingham, and all in all, it was probably good to have that home game to try to get that home win and get some momentum heading into that game Wednesday night.
It was huge to have the home game. There cannot be much more of a home court advantage than what we have, and I was so happy. I was worried. We're 8-7. I think we were 8-7 going in last night, and I think we were playing better than an 8-7 team. But you are what you are, and I was worried about. I didn't know how big. Our crowd was great last night. I thought there was a lot of energy. Our student section, Chaos Cage, was great last night. I mean, that really, really helps our guys. I mean, that's worth a lot of points for us, and that was nice. Because if we had to go to Carbondale last night, it'd have been a completely different environment.
So now, moving off from that environment, from Chagnon into Salem next week, maybe one of the better tournaments for Salem in recent years. A very deep tournament. Obviously, Edwardsville, a prohibitive favorite, but your team has a very tough draw with Effingham on Wednesday night.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely the right draw with what we are and with what the other teams are. But it's a very tough game. Our kids like the Salem tournament. That gym has always been one of my favorites. There's usually really good atmosphere. You really, just like with every tournament, you really want to win that first game to get to play on Friday night. Friday night's always a great place because you got 2 really good games. But we're going to kind of look at it like we did the Centralia tournament, and we're going to put everything we into that first game. We're going to try like crazy to get it. But the main goal is to play 3 games and to try to get 2 wins at least. But it's a tournament, like you said, it's a tournament where Edwardsville is without a doubt the favorite. But I think that there's several teams in the tournament that have a chance to be able to win it, and I hope we're one of them, and I hope we get a chance to play Edwardsville Friday night to see. But like Effingham does so many good things. They're similar to Centralia in that, and Edwardsville, of course, we would like to play them. That you have to prepare so many different things. I mean, Coach Reed runs a ton of different sets. He does a lot. He has several options off of every set. Coach Reed's a lot more into the continuity type offenses, and those are tough to guard. These kids are patient. I still think of all the teams we play, his kids screen harder than any other team we play, and they're all legal. I mean, his kids set legal, really hard screens. And then defensively, they take away your strengths. And, we were very lucky last year. We played them 3 times, and we beat them all 3 times. But that's a rarity to be able to do that.
All right, our final question. Oh, go ahead.
No, it's going to be a battle because I think both of us play the same type style, and I think points are going to be at a premium on Wednesday night.
A premium is the final question. It won't be what food would you eat for a year or what restaurant, and it won't be how bad are the Patriots going to win this weekend. But this week's question is, if you owned a sports team or franchise, what nickname would you give them?
The Rams.
Okay.
Okay,
Not very creative, but
now that you have the answer you have to say out of the way, what would you really name them? I'm just kidding you. I'm putting you on the spot. It's all good.
I don't know. That would be that's a tough one.
It is, and that's a logical answer.
And not just because I like the team, but I like the Patriots. I like the National. I like the kind of the American pride type.
Yeah, you're a patriot.
Yeah.
A true American. God bless America. It's a beautiful country. I mean, we dig. Scott, obviously, big tournament coming up this week at Salem. The Rams home away from home as BE Gum Gymnasium. Good luck to the Rams, and we will see you on Wednesday night.
All right. Thank you guys very much.
That's Scott Gamber, head coach of the Mount Vernon Rams. Big win last night over Carbondale, 64-54. Of course, that game on Wednesday night will be on the air at 6:45 or so on WMIX-FM due to video blackout regulations at Salem High School. We'll be unable to provide a video stream, but you can listen on your mobile device at WMIXsports.com. And just because we promote a mobile device doesn't mean that you can't listen to it on your computer. You can get it there as well, your iPad or PlayStation 3 game console, perhaps. You might check it out. We need to take a break, catch up with Lady Rams head coach Jeff Lonnon. We'll talk with Coach Lonnon about his team's 14-3 effort this year, as well as their 6-0 South 7 Conference record. This is a Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
The midway point of the basketball season is here, but WMIX and Community First Bank still have plenty of showcase games over the coming weeks. Hi, this is Joe David Cummins, President of Community First Bank. Woodlawn, Waltonville, Weber, Wayne City, and Cesar-Valere, Waltonville all look to make strong pushes towards the postseason on the Jefferson County Basketball Showcase. Log on to WMIXsports.com to find the schedule and listen to the game, or stay tuned to WMIX for high school basketball. Powered by Community First Bank. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC.
Hello, my name's Richard. When my wife had a heart attack, every second felt like an eternity. I wasn't thinking about what hospital had outstanding results or first-class facilities. All I cared about was getting her help fast. Thankfully, I didn't have to think about those things. The ambulance took us to Good Samaritan Regional Health Center. From the second we were admitted, I knew she was in great hands. My wife was immediately treated by an experienced cardiologist. I have no doubt the folks at Good Samaritan saved my wife's life that day. It wasn't until later that I realized Good Samaritan ranks 20% faster than the national average in response time. And they work directly with the prestigious Open Heart program at Washington University. In 2013, Good Samaritan will be opening an all-new regional health center, making their heart care even greater. We're thankful that such quality care exists right here in Southern Illinois.
Good Samaritan Regional Health Center. Raising a hospital, raising the bar.
Learn to live healthy, learn to live well, and learn how you can live free from unexpected medical expense with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance and the Page Agency. Health insurance that covers hospital, medical, and surgical expenses offers a wide choice of deductibles and a non-tobacco user discount, too. Rising medical costs don't have to be a problem with a major medical expense policy from Pekin Insurance. This is coverage we hope you'll never need, but you just can't be without. Call the Page Agency at 242-7000 about a major medical health insurance plan today.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Welcome now, Mount Vernon Lady Rams head coach Jeff Lonnon. His team is 6-0 in the South 7 Conference, 14-3 overall. Very successful 2012-2013 for Mount Vernon. Coach Lonnon, welcome. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Y'all doing pretty good. How you doing?
I'm driving up Log Cabin Road and
practice.
Having a nice drive in this morning. It's nice and warm outside. Turkeys are on the road. I just saw about 13 or 14 turkeys. Saw a few deer. Saw a couple of the Amish people are out here today, going back and forth. It's just a beautiful ride into Mount Vernon from Log Cabin.
Wasn't any Amish mafia around, was it?
Oh, he watches that television
You
show.
watch that show, The Amish Mafia? Okay, I didn't know if you watched that or not.
Oh, man. Lonnon, though, your team, one team, 2 games this week. Althoff on Monday night at home, big win there. Probably the best defense I've seen this team play all season. But then the great defense continued into Thursday night on the road at Carbondale. You get 2 conference games in the period of a week, and things are really going well for your team, all things considered. And by that, I mean, and eventually everybody's going to stop talking about it. But without leading scorer Haley Lockhart, of course, we can kind of put that to bed. But your team playing as a solid 5 right now, and just things seem to keep rolling. And I give a lot of credit to that defensive effort we've seen this past week.
Yeah, it has to be credited to that because, when you lose, I've always said, since she went down, you lose 16 or 17 points, which is right around where she was averaging when she went down. You lose that out of your lineup. I mean, you have to, find either A, somebody who is not starting to come in and score 16 or 17 points a game immediately and pick up the slack, or B, you've got to limit, your opponents to your points. And for us, option B was a better option than A in the immediate future. But now here lately, with Courtney Scarborough, who was actually, she was the kid who just kind of stepped into that position. And she's just slowly, I don't know if you're noticing this or not, but she's slowly, getting her legs under her and understanding, getting into the flow, and she's now starting to score, and pick up a little bit of that slack. And I knew she would because Courtney's a natural scorer. She's a good little shooter. She's a good free throw shooter. She's a good little athlete, and that kid right there is she's coming into her own right now, and she's helping us kind of pick up that scoring drought that we kind of suffered a little bit after Haley went down. I think we really felt that, even though we won after Haley went down. I think we had some games there where we were in the 30s and low 40s. Muscuda was awful. We couldn't get anything to fall there. But now, lately she's picked up some scoring slack, and I think that as we go forward, that's going to be huge for us. And then, of course, the defense is always, important. We've put a point of emphasis on that for a while now, and it's finally coming around where we can, actually make a difference with our defense. And it was a long time where we really could. And now, it's starting to really, affect basketball games when they play. But I'm very proud of that because, I've always admired great defensive teams. Centralia's a great defensive team. In Nashville, Wayner is he's the crown jewel of defense. That's kind of who you try to emulate. So that's who we're constantly striving to be defensively, are those types of teams.
Wayne is a crown jewel, that's for sure. But how long did your team take, do you think, to get over the shock that Lockhart's not coming back and finally start to play the way they're playing now? Did it take a while, or was it a short time?
It was a very short. It was a short time because, I just kind of had a little talk after that was over that, all teams, this isn't just something that happened to you. All teams, and several, even this year, and several in girls basketball. But I'm talking about all teams will suffer at some point, and likely, every year, some sort of catastrophic, or at the very least, major injury to a player. And if not that, at least an injury to a player or two who are going to hold their participation out for a couple games. So, we're all going through it. I talked to coaches all the time, and the first thing they start in with me before I ever say anything is, well, my point guard twisted her ankle, she's out for 3 games, or, with Carbondale, it was Sarah Goodale who blew her knee entirely out, is out for the year. Carbondale is going through the same thing we are. Altoff lost one of their better players to a knee. There are just many, many examples, and we unfortunately had that happen to us with Haley. So, the speech you have is, when somebody goes down, somebody else has to step up, and there's just no other way to do it. And all you need is one person to step up, and then you're right back on track again. And what really helped is they knew Courtney was going to be that person, and they all had confidence in Courtney. Now, had it have been a player or someone, regardless whether it's our team or somebody else or whatever, had it been somebody that maybe there was doubt whether somebody could step in and do it, then I think it would have been an issue. But I think the kids, they all know each other, no matter who they are, whether they're a starter or not a starter, and they all believe in each other, I believe, on this team. And I think whoever you throw in there, it's important that the other ones have faith in that kid, and everyone did. And really, as evidenced by what happened after Haley went down, we just continued to go, the streak and put together winning streaks, and except for Mascuda, really haven't missed a beat. And the team really drawn together in Haley's absence because they know they have to. And the other thing, when she went down, we were already starting. We were in first place in the conference. We were already starting to, take command of that South 7. And I don't think they wanted to let go of that. They've worked too hard. So, it's worked out, so far. But gosh, we got 4 more to go. So we can't talk about it too early. But these 2 this week serve us in a position to do it here down the stretch.
And, of course, heading into the Carbondale tournament on Monday night against DuQuoin, a game that will be on 94.1 and with video at WMIXsports.com. But that brings us to the WMIX Sports social media question of the week, Lonnon, which is, if you own and or operated a professional sports franchise and you had to come choosing your nickname or mascot, what would you name your team?
Well, as you know, Danny and I actually have a great love for TV show Finding Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that hits me right off the bat. So I think we got to go in that direction. Some sort of Sasquatches.
That'd work.
That's mine. That's what I put.
Hey, how about let's get fancy. We could go with the Gigantopithecus.
Right.
Would it be Is it Pithecuses or is it Gigantopitheci?
I think it's the Gigantopithecus, according to the show. But there's about 5 or 6 other ones there. You've got the
you could be the Benton bush apes,
Florida skunk apes. What do you got? The
bush ape.
What's in Australia? It's the Yowies.
Yes, the Yowies.
Yeah. You could go just pick any one of those.
The Yetis.
The Yetis. Yeah, absolutely. The what is it? The Billy apes in the south.
Yes.
Hey, there's another one. What was the one out there in Colorado? Was the Woodboogers?
Yes, the Woodboogers is another good one.
You could literally come up with some jewels just watching that show for mascots. So that's right off the top of my head. That's what hit me.
Very nice.
Of course, that may not be right, but
very nice.
What I think.
Big game Monday night against DuQuoin, Lonnon. We'll see you there, and good luck in the Carbondale tournament.
Thanks a lot, guys. We're looking forward to it.
Always looking forward to it. Especially, I love good defense. That's what the Lady Rams are playing right now. And, of course, we need to take a break on the Saturday Sports Show. When we come back, we'll have Mike McManus. Man, that defense has really picked up over the past couple of weeks for the Lady Rams. Can't wait to get them back on Monday night. 7:15 will be your pregame, 7:30 your tip-off. Again, 94.1 FM and WMIXsports.com. Here on the Saturday Sports Show, we need to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have Mike McManus, as we said. We'll talk Salem. We'll talk Highland. We'll talk midwinter tournaments all morning long here on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Southern Illinois now has a better home for sports. It's the all-new WMIXSports.com. Jam-packed with local scores, video highlights, and archives of every local sports broadcast on WMIX. Did your team win? Missed that game-winning shot last night? Didn't catch your favorite coach on the Saturday Sports Show? WMIXSports.com is right at your fingertips. On your computer, your smartphone, your tablet, or your video game console. It's the all-new WMIXSports.com. Another free service from Withers Broadcasting. When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend that time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com/faster to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
Back on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXSports.com. Glad to have you with us. Chris Hugo with Danny Zerwinski, Jeff Crow in your Mount Vernon studio here of WMIX AM. And, of course, Mike McManus, he's the Morning Sentinel sports editor, as well as your sports guy on X95 and the Big 12-10. Leo, good morning.
It is somewhere, and I guess it is here. How we doing, guys?
You're doing pretty good. It's midwinter tournament time. Of course, Highland gets started today. I have a sneaking hunch that you're at Highland or heading to Highland or walking in Highland right now.
I'm turning left on Troxler Avenue right now. So you guys have you might have microchipped me in my sleep or something, but yeah, we're going to head in and take in at least 6 of the first 8 and kind of see where it shakes out. You got to be in front of a TV at some point tonight for that Packers and Niners game.
Of course, that's a big one for you to watch. See who your team's going to be playing next week.
Well, I hope my team's playing next week.
I just have I have a feeling about the Seahawks, and I just can't describe it.
Your team is going to wake up tomorrow, and that kickoff's going to be at 10 a.m., their body clock time. That's a key.
Yeah, it is, and I'm not a fan of that. They always, but they've been able to go east and play well this year. So, that win at Soldier Field kind of told me that maybe they got a different mojo working this year. But we'll see how it goes tomorrow. But for today, we worry about the young ladies playing in Highland.
Well, and it starts off with, of course, probably one of the better teams in the area, the Nashville Hornets against Triad at 9 o'clock. But taking a look at the Highland first-round matchups, you have Calton Herrick Beecher City, last year's 1A runner-up, against Hillsboro, West, and Altoff at noon, Carlisle Salem at 1:30, Central Vandalia at 3, followed by Highland Oakville, T-Town O'Fallon, and Mater Dei Nokomis. And it looks like, again, in 2013, the Highland tournament does not disappoint for girls basketball fans.
Yeah, this thing never fails, does it? 8 state-ranked or honorable mention teams, half the field is getting some kind of love from the Associated Press polls, and I don't foresee many real good ball games today. I think the one that really sticks out, there are 2 that I think have the potential to be tight, close ball games today, and that's the Salem-Carlisle game. Salem, they've really kind of rallied around one another, and they've played well of late. Carlisle, did everything but beat Nashville Thursday night. And then the other game, I think the Highland-Oakville game. Highland has played well of late. They ran into a buzzsaw last Saturday up here, and the state's best team in 3A in Quincy, Notre Dame. But, they have a 20-point win over Altoff, and Oakville surprised everyone by taking 3rd at Mastuda. A veteran ball club with a good coach and maybe one of the most unsung players in the area in Megan Weinstorer. So those 2 really stick out. Normally, this first day up here, you separate the haves from the have-nots, and then starting Monday night, it really, a Nashville Calton Herrick second round game. There'd be a lot of tournaments would love to have that, as a potential championship game with 2 state-rated teams getting after one another in the quarters. But you'll see that up and down. Mater Dei and T-Town potentially could mix it up with each other in the second round. And again, nobody from the girls' side runs a better tournament than what they put on up here in Highland. It's just a terrific atmosphere.
Terrific atmosphere, and it's a who's who of this tournament. And over the years, you've seen a lot of games up there. Is there a team and or a player that stick out to you as being the best that you've seen up there?
Oh, my goodness. Wow, where do you... Whoa,
where do we begin?
Well, I'll tell you what, they're not here this year, and I've said in my time, in my 15 years as far as being a sports writer, the best female player I've had the chance to see on a regular basis, somewhat regular basis, was Amani Henderson at Edwardsville. And since they were just here last year, and of course, they outgrew the tournament, and they've moved on and are doing other things now. And I kind of think when word got out that, hey, they're not coming back, 15 other teams went, thank you. That we can actually win this thing now. But she's the one that sticks out. Of course, I got to see the great Brittany Johnson from Olney for a number of years here, and then you just think, I mean, my goodness, the list goes on and on and on. The Division I talent that's been on this floor. I've been with this tournament probably for pretty hard for about 10 years, but my goodness, it's just one great player, great team after another, and there's no shame in going 1-2 up here. There's no shame in going 0-2. You just see so much talent and so many good teams. This is kind of a mini small school to me, kind of a state tournament preview.
Oh, no doubt about it. And obviously you hit one of my favorite potential matchups right on the head with the Hornets and the Lady Hornets possibly in the second round there, and also T-Town Mater Dei. But going from one great tournament in Highland to a tournament that we're pretty fond of over there in Marion County and Salem, SIT, I thought they did the pairings about as well as they could, given that there are 6 conference teams from 2 conferences in this tournament. And with the matchups that they picked out, Effingham, Mount Vernon, Mattoon, Edwardsville, Marion Triad, Salem Centralia, it's about the best they could probably do.
I thought so. There was one thing I had 2 games right, 2 games wrong. I kind of knew in the back of my mind after the Centralia Holiday Tournament, you could just see that Centralia and Salem were going to play in the first round. It just made all the sense in the world. Salem had seen Marion already. They'd played Mount Vernon twice. You knew they weren't going there. You wouldn't figure they would put themselves up against Edwardsville in the opening round. So it just really made sense. Where I missed, I really thought we would see Mount Vernon and Centralia bracketed together. And I'm glad they're not, and not for anything negatively. I'm just glad. I really think with the way the teams were playing as it had gone in, they hit it exactly right. And boy, what a tough first round draw for the Rams. I mean, Effingham's a pretty good basketball team. They beat the fool out of Salem last night. I mean, just dominated them for 4 quarters, and so that'll be a tough go for Mount Vernon. But I don't know what it is about that gym that always seems to, of late, to bring out the best, not only in Mount Vernon, but Centralia seemed to play really well in that building of late. I think, I could have it wrong, but I think in Coach Bennett's 5 years, and then this will be the 6th, I think Centralia's 14-1 in that building, or 14-2 in that building. So and with the 2 losses being to Edwardsville, they've played very, very well over in the Salem tournament.
Well, and you take a look at that tournament up and down, and the familiarity that I know you, Danny, I have with these teams, and you kind of take a look at the teams that we really need to know about, and that's really the upper seeds and the Mount Vernon Rams. It's no disrespect to a Triad or a Mattoon or even this year the Salem Wildcats, but really, you take a look at Edwardsville, by far and away the number 1 seed and probably expected to be the champion of this tournament. But you take a look at the others, and you go from Centralia to Marion to Effingham to Mount Vernon. That's really a logjam for potential number 2 seeds in that tournament. And you know what? It's going to be quite the competition once you get to that winner's bracket on Friday night.
Oh, Friday night will be really good. There's no question in my mind that I think, in my mind, that if the teams win that I think will win on Wednesday, Thursday, you're looking at a really good Friday night. I mean, let's be honest. I know Mount Vernon's 9-7, but that record almost needs an asterisk. I mean, with how many games that Mount Vernon's led late and had, just been snake bit, whether it be at the buzzer or just in front of the buzzer or whenever. They've just been snake bit with one thing after another. And I know Bill Parcells has the old saying that you are what your record says you are, but I don't know that that's really true, because when I look at Mount Vernon, I certainly don't see them. When you think of a 9-7 team, you think of a team that's maybe kind of scuffled along the way, and I don't think they have. I mean, how easily could Mount Vernon be sitting about 14-2 right now with, maybe 2 extra breaks a game? You've got Centralia 12-4, and survived one last night, got down big early, and then found a way to get rolling and get going, and thought you had it in the bag, and then in that last 2 minutes, they tried to do everything in the world to let Althoff win that game in the late going. Just some mental mistakes and some missed shots and shots you don't need. But they're at 12-4. Effingham left Centralia 8-6, and I don't think they've lost since. So they're a 10-6 team. And Marion is the one maybe some teams just don't match up well with others. I'm not really sure. It's hard for me to understand that Mount Vernon has lost a couple times to them, and I know one was really early, so you kind of throw that one out. In fact, both of them were pretty early. Both of them were on the road, but I look, if you look at it honestly, I really think Mount Vernon beats Effingham and Edwardsville wins, and then you got to figure for Marion and Centralia, at least on paper, to be the other two. Although I heard you guys talking about Triad getting Columbia last night. Is that what I heard?
Yes, big time, big double digits.
And badly, yeah.
Yes.
That jumps at me a little bit. So maybe Triad's playing a little bit better, and we'll just see how it goes. But I made the comment to somebody last night at the Centralia Althoff game. They were asking me about Salem, and I said, I think Coach Waldo's in a situation that he can tell the other 7 teams, put your best players together and we'll play you, and it would be a struggle for that team to win. They've got so much talent with Trey Harris and Garrett Covington, leading the way, and, 6'6" kids that aren't, stumps. Those kids, they can move and they're athletic and they can beat you from the perimeter. They can take you off the dribble. There's just so much they can do to you. And we know, that Coach Waldo has probably scouted everybody 7, 8, 9 times by now. And he keeps the legal pad people in business. Between EI and Coach Bennett, the long legal pad people will never run out of business. But, they're certainly the favorite rolling into this thing. And, if we're all honest with ourselves, every one of us to a man would be stunned to see someone else other than them walk out of there with that title.
Our final question, as we are looking forward to the SIT for you this week, is, if you owned a sports team or franchise, what nickname would you give them?
I heard you guys ask this earlier. Every answer I come up with is so dadgum politically incorrect, I don't know that I want to give any. I don't want Mr. Withers to have to write a check on my behalf. I'll tell you what, this year, and it worked out for me. I was in 2 different fantasy football leagues. I won one and got third in another, and the name of my team was the Blue Rays. And my logo was a picture, and again, going into political incorrectness, here we go, guys, but you asked for it. My mascot was a picture of the late, great Ray Charles, and it was in a blue tint. So I guess I'd go with the Blue Rays.
There you go.
That works. That's unique, and that's what we're looking for, and it's off the cuff, and it's solid. But
yeah, the one that I always loved, too, and it was from that goofy movie, I can't even think of it, not semi-pro. Maybe the Tropics.
Yeah, semi-pro.
From the north, the Flint Tropics.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of like teams that are just, their name doesn't fit them at all. Those are always my favorite.
Oxymoronic mascots are just a great thing. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely. If I was going to, like Vanderbilt's the Commodores, if I were going to be the Commodores, Lionel Richie would be my mascot.
Yeah.
They didn't even ask him, I don't think. But, that was a tough question. I really, like I said, I'm so politically incorrect that I don't walk that line real well, so I better just probably keep what I was going to answer in my pocket, maybe give it to you at Salem.
That'll work, and we will see you at Salem. Have fun today.
You'll find me in the hospitality room, boys. Take care.
That's Mike McManus, X95, the Big 12-10, of course, sports editor of the Morning Sentinel, and we appreciate it, Leo. Oh, man, we still have plenty holiday midwinter tournaments to talk about here on the Saturday Sports Show. Neil Hamon, Athletic Director of Nashville, still to come. Here on the Saturday Sports Show, your scoreboard to come at the top of the hour as well. If you don't want to wait, look at it at WMIXsports.com. This is the Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
The state of denial is a drag and a trial. When I bought my cheap insurance, should have known this day would come. Now I've had an accident and I'm feeling quite alone. Called them at least 20 times, but they won't pick up the phone. Without personal service, my policy's kinda worthless. Get to a better state, State Farm.
Don't deny yourself to call an agent. Tony Wilt in Mount Vernon, 242-1421.
The Saturday Sports Show lives here. AM 940 WMIX Mount Vernon. A free service from Withers Broadcasting.
The Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois welcomes Dr. Beth Conradi to their medical staff. Dr. Conradi specializes in comprehensive pain management using a multidisciplinary team approach by working with other specialists for optimal diagnosis and treatment of pain. Dr. Conradi will treat most conditions of the spine, including management of cancer pain. Dr. Beth Conradi, helping to make life better day after day at the Orthopedic Center of Southern Illinois in Mount Vernon. Call 618-242-3778.
Do you farm or operate an agriculture-based business? Then Community First Bank is for you. Hi, I'm Steve Down, Agribusiness Lending Officer at Community First Bank. With our roots firmly planted in Jefferson County, we offer the stability, strength, and personal attention that you deserve. Community First Bank wants to be your financial partner with customized products for both your personal and farm banking needs. Stop by any of our 5 convenient Jefferson County locations to see how we can help your business grow.
Community First Bank with locations in Mount Vernon, Woodlawn, Dix, and Ina. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Glad to have you with us. Glad to have Neil Hamon, Athletic Director at Nashville High School, with us to talk to the Nashville Invitational Tournament. Mr. Hamon, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
You know what, doing pretty good, and Nashville looks to be doing pretty good again this year as well with the tournament. You had an opening this year after Waltonville goes back to the Midland Trail Conference. How on earth did you get T-Town to come to Nashville? Is it just the program selling itself?
Well, I think part of it is they had broke up from a conference that they were originally in, and they were looking to improve their schedule. Of course, they're a powerhouse every year. They've had wonderful success at all levels for many years, and I think they wanted an opportunity to play some of the teams in the South that they could potentially play at the state tournament.
When you talk about this tournament, one of the sidebars I know goes on is best dressed in this tournament. Does Coach Fehrenbacher know what he's getting into with the judging of being the best dressed coach in this tournament?
I don't know if he does or not. We're going to have to break him in, and we're going to have to help him out there because he may be a little bit above us right now with his style.
This tournament over the years has evolved. Of course, Waltonville's been in it, Woodlawn's been in it, Madison's been in it. Several years, you've had multiple teams make deep runs, get to the state tournament. This is one of those quiet little midwinter tournaments that really packs a lot of great games all the way through the week at Nashville, isn't it?
Yes, and that's something that we've been trying to do is we wanted to try to make a tournament that had some of the best talent in the state, some of the best programs, so that we had some really competitive games, not only on the weekend, but also in the middle of the week.
I look at this tournament like Salem. Salem's got teams with a lot of conference affiliations, same conferences. You're looking at teams like Mater Dei and Central. Nashville's in there. You got Jabot, Westland, Muscuda, teams that normally play each other in the regular season or other tournaments. How hard or how difficult is it for you to set up a tournament and try to keep away from matchups in the first round, maybe 2 rounds of this thing?
Well, we try to. I mean, we try to accommodate the schools because some schools play just a regular season game. Some schools are conference-bound, so they play at least twice. So we try to stay away from that, but when it all comes down to it, our main position is try to seed it according to how we feel the best teams are in the tournament. Now, this year, that's extremely difficult because any one of the top 6 teams, we feel, has a chance to win this tournament.
I look at that tournament like you do. Is a lot of teams. You got defending state champs in Breeze Central. You throw T-Town in the bottom bracket, a Nashville team that's on fire right now. Mater Dei is getting a young team that's getting so much better. Jabot on top, one of the better 1A teams in the state. I mean, it's a great mix of 1A, 2A, 3A that you have in a tournament that a lot of tournaments don't get to have with that kind of quality.
No, I mean, you have to give some of the 1A schools and the smaller schools credit for being willing to play larger schools. I mean, that's one thing, and the other part of that is a lot of the bigger schools a lot of times don't like to play the smaller schools. But these programs have established themselves. I really don't think they think about what class or division, and they're just competing against each other.
I look at your job, and a lot of people don't understand the amount of hours and time that athletic directors put into things. Games, referees, facilities, practice schedules, tournaments, whatever. This is my next question. I'm not giving you too many trade secrets. In this day and age, with as many tournaments that seem to be bubbling up everywhere around Southern Illinois, how difficult is it for an athletic director or coaches to promote, keep teams, and watch out always for the upcoming and the future years to keep teams and keep an 8-team tournament like at Nashville?
Well, it's hard because a lot of tournaments have gone to round robins and where you're guaranteed 5 games. And our tournament is 3 games. I think just the tradition of the tournament. I think the way you treat people and the way that you take care of them when they're at your tournaments are big components to the people continually coming back to your tournament year after year. There's been times where there's been teams that are down, and knowing they come into this tournament that they're really going to struggle to find a win. But I think they understand that how they're treated and how they appreciate how things are and the atmosphere at the game. So, hopefully that pans out and that continues to help those schools continue to come back.
Well, speaking of that glowing feeling and helping things out, do you still have that kind of a smirk from Thursday night Kentucky beating Vandy in that thing they call a gym down in Nashville?
Yeah, it's kind of nice. It doesn't matter if it's a 60-58 win or what it is, but, I've been hearing a lot of criticism now that they've struggled a little bit this year, but they didn't talk too much last year.
Well, it's our struggles is what everybody else would like to be a lot of times, too.
That's very true.
And then we welcome in Texas A&M today, a newbie. We got to break them in the right way. But we'll break you in this way with our final question, and this is our WMIX Sports social media question of the week. If you owned a sports team or franchise, what nickname would you give them?
Oh, boy. That's a good one. I don't know. That's a tough one.
The Bo Myers won't work. That's how copyrighted, I believe.
It's already been copyrighted.
Yeah, probably by Bo. He doesn't know that yet.
He doesn't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just gonna stay with the Wildcats.
Okay.
I mean, it's just one of those things that it's hard to get out of your blood.
It is. That's for sure.
Neil, thank you for taking the time to join us. I know it's a busy day with the Hornets, of course, at Highland today, and then preparing for the great tournament that you guys run over there in Washington County. Good luck this week, and keep up the good work over there with the NIT.
Okay, thank you. See you guys soon.
That's Neil Hamon, of course, athletic director, Nashville Community High School, and I don't think people necessarily understand just how good of a tournament that is, especially at the 2A level. You look at Mater Dei, who should be back in 2A now. You have Nashville, of course. You have Westland. You have Jabot, who's going to be in 1A, but could probably take on a few 2A regionals. Central, of course, the defending 2A state champs. Freeburg, of course, makes the bump up to 3A. But T-Town and then 3A Mascoutah, and they just have a great tournament again this year.
I know Benton gets a lot of ink for being the history of the teams getting to state and doing things. But this NIT over the last 10 to 15 years, 5 to 10 for sure, is really bumped up in competition, and they have as much right to brag and bark about what that tournament's done and the team they sent to state. I mean, if you look in the last 15 years, Jabot's been there, Mater Dei's been there, Nashville's been there, Central's been there, T-Town's been there. You go a little further back, 20-plus years, Westland's been there. So that's 6 out of 8 teams. You want to talk that way, but that's a good thing for the NIT.
Of course, we need to take a look at your scores. A little behind on that, but we're going to get to your scores from the WMIXSports.com scoreboard.
Mount Vernon over Carbondale, South 7, 64-54. Centralia over Altoff, 57-56. Skokie over Marion, 78-35. Nashville beat DuQuoin, 57-40. Pinckneyville over Sparta, 39-31. Carterville beat AJ, 49-42. Ohio Division, Massac over Heron, 50-42. Murphy over Frankfort, 34-28. Non-conference, Dyer County, Tennessee, 76. Harrisburg, 68. Black Diamond, Goreville beat Christopher, 57-49. Cesar-Valera beat ZR, 48-30. JC over Hamilton County, 71-55. And Fairfield beat Carmi, 53-40. In the Midland Trail, Weber Township beat Sandoval, 57-28. Clay City beat Wayne City, 50-36. Sisney over Grayville, 53-50. You want to read more scores? Go to WMIXsports.com, look up the scoreboard, or go to Facebook.com. You can find more scores there as well.
Of course, we need to take a break here on the Saturday Sports. When we come back, we'll talk the Carmi-White County Invitational Tournament. Still the LIC, the BIT, and the MTC to come here on the Saturday Sports Show, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
How does Dale's Harley-Davidson in Mount Vernon stay the longest-running Harley dealer in Southern Illinois? How about free pickup and delivery and being the home of the $29.95 oil change? Plus, get financing as low as 1.5 APR, along with the best selection of certified pre-owned Harley-Davidsons. So now you know how Dale's Harley-Davidson stays number one. Dale's Harley-Davidson, open every day but Wednesday, just off of I-57 in Mount Vernon. Visit dales-hd.com and follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend that time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital with our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge. The entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com/faster to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com, presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Hey, it's what healthcare should be.
Welcome the voice of the Harrisburg Bulldogs, the WEBQ, news director for WQRL, WMCL, WISH, Jeffrey Drake. Mr. Drake, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Kind of the raspy voice of the Bulldogs this morning. Had a little bit of a sore throat I was dealing with throughout the day yesterday, and then, of course, the game at the Dyer County Penny Hardaway Hoop Fest last night didn't help matters, but I got the text from Danny last night, and being the trooper I am, I wanted to help you guys out, so thank you for having me on this morning.
I'm glad you're up so early this morning after a late game last night.
We actually rolled back into Harrisburg around 1:30 this morning, so I think Randy Smith-Peters, even despite the loss, was giving his team the day off today, and they turn right around and go to Carmi on Monday and take on a Fairfield team who had already beaten once. But it was a good experience last night, big-time atmosphere at Dyer County. It's a high school that's about 5 miles outside of Dyersburg, a program that's averaged about 30 wins each of the last 6 or 7 seasons. Penny Hardaway, he was sponsoring the shootout. He was there in attendance, and Michigan State head coach Tom Izzo was there, and got a chance to get up close with him. So there's a lot of big-time college coaches, a big-time atmosphere, and a player in hubs for Dyer County who's going to the University of Tennessee, turned down offers from Duke. Harrisburg lost by 8 last night, but did do a good job. Hubs only had 4 points in the first half. He's the number 2 shooting guard as far as high school seniors go in the country, but finished with 19, and really the fourth quarter is what did in Harrisburg, guys. They were ahead by 2 going into the fourth. That was their only lead. Dyer went on something like a 14-2 run first couple minutes in the fourth quarter. And they are down 18-1. Harrisburg dropped to 16-1.
But your tournament that you deal with mostly next week, the Carmi Invitational team, or a tournament that's had 6 teams over the years, only joins another conference, has to go conference tournament. How much does that take away, only getting 5 games in next week instead of 6?
It's a team shorter, and so was the Harrisburg tournament around Thanksgiving. So, I mean, that's a couple of games that Harrisburg losing this year that they had last year when they set a school record for wins at 28, and they got 16 now. I think if they would play as many as 2 games in Peoria, then they would round out around 34. So they are a couple of games shorter. I know many people don't realize that at the beginning of the season. There's just 2 games tonight in Carmi. Everybody's off one night, plus everybody's off on Wednesday. The tournament does not get played on Wednesday. I think Harrisburg closes the tournament Saturday night against Mount Vernon, Indiana. Of course, now Vernon's got a rule, or Indiana has a rule where you can't play so many tournaments and you can't play later in evenings. And I know when they used to have 3 games a night at Carmi, that first night they had to start the Mount Vernon game at 5 o'clock to be considered an afternoon game. So I'm sure Kirk Simon, scheduling-wise at Carmi, is a little bit happier where you don't have to deal with 2 games a night and you don't have to worry about that early start time and having to fit 3 games in. But there's 2 games a night. Fairfield's up there. Scott McElavy's always got a good team. That's what Harrisburg opens up with. I know Carmi's kind of struggling a little bit this year. Not Carmel. They've got Levi Laws, so I'm sure they're going to be physical. And Mount Vernon, Indiana team that really always plays Harrisburg close, and they're always physical games. So it's a different kind of style of basketball. And Harrisburg doesn't get to see Mount Carmel very often. They don't get to see Mount Vernon, Indiana very often. So it's always a fun time at the McDougal Evers Gym.
Rolling through for Harrisburg, they win their own tournament at the beginning of the year. You win another EHT a couple weeks ago. Now you roll into this part of the season. Is the pressure lessening on this team as they go along with the wins, or is it starting to mount now more and more as people start to expect this team to really do something in the postseason?
I think Randy Smith-Peters knew going into the year, and his players knew that, I mean, this is Harrisburg here if they want to do something. I know we've talked about it before, guys. They got very lucky to still be in Class 2A because in Class 3A, don't know exactly how far you can go in the postseason. But I asked Coach Smith-Peters in our post game last night, I said, does this loss maybe take the pressure off of your team? He said, I know if we had a lot of pressure and says we're going to get a bullseye on the back every time we go out there. I personally kind of think they don't have to worry about keeping that perfect record intact now. So pressure-wise, maybe it's not on me as much as I'm as nervous probably as anybody when I'm watching this team play. But they're just a phenomenal group of basketball players. It's a class that's kind of been touted since they were in 5th grade. It's finally the time is here, and they went to the Super Sectional last year. And I'm sure that, you never know what happens when it comes to postseason, but as far as teams around here, they certainly have as good a chance as anybody in Class 2A, I would think, to make a fairly deep run in basketball.
And this Harrisburg team, as you mentioned, that lost last night to a team probably better than they are. Down the stretch, and I know that Harrisburg's going to win a lot of games the rest of the regular season, is there a game or 2 left? I know there may be another shootout they play in, but a game or 2 where they can actually be tested and pushed before they get to postseason, where you know somebody's going to give them their best shot on a given night?
I agree with your point you made, Danny. I know Alton Marquette was a game which Harrisburg won by 9 at the Saluki shootout early December. I think this team was a little bit better than Alton Marquette. Of course, they got an All-American that's out there, team, so that always helps with Dyer County. You do kind of get into a lull, and I think Harrisburg saw that last Saturday night when they were only up by 3 going into the 4th quarter. Benton ended up winning by 14, but it's the thing where you try to get up for these games, but it comes to a point sometimes, they're teenagers where you get a little lackadaisical and maybe lose focus, but they still got a big schedule this week. I think there could be a few tests for Harrisburg up at Conway. They've got conference games left. They got to go 2 more Murfreesboro. They got Massac at home. They still have to play at Heron, and they got Benton and Frankfurt at home the rest of the conference way. They play Casey Westfield in the Rich Heron shootout, and then you got a regional upcoming at El Dorado, and they hope to be at the West Frankfurt sectional. So as far as maybe who they would see later on in the season, I don't know who would compare to Dyer County as far as they might have to wait if they got to Peoria and see a Seton Academy or somebody like that.
Well, this Harrisburg Bulldog team, as you mentioned, goes into Carmi next week and plays there and then plays that run regular season. With Randy Smith-Peters, he's been through this. He's been to state before when it was at the Assembly Hall. Is this kind of something exciting for him, or is he kind of just taking everything in stride so far?
I think he's enjoying it. I mean, it's going to be over with before too long. You look up and the season's halfway over. I think Harrisburg last night might have been around their halfway point in their schedule, but he's got a son who's a senior in Tyler Smith-Peters. That's his last son to come to the program. He's still got a girl who's a junior in high school this year who's a cheerleader in Bailey, but he's had 4 or 5 sons that have come through, and this is his 20th year, and he keeps racking up the wins. I think he deserves a lot of credit for what this team has done, but I'm sure that the talent has certainly helped out with a lot of wins. And I'm excited about this Harrisburg team next year. I think Randy Smith-Peters is showing no signs of slowing down. You got Eli Chamberlain Scott, who's going to come back next year as a senior. Bahari Amaya will be a junior next year. They're really high on a freshman guard this year, Anthony Houston. So, I mean, it's not like you are going to lose the Hinshaws and the Smith-Peters and the Upchurches and the Ropers. And, it's going to be hard to replace all that offense and what they do. But
it's not like they're going to be in total rebuild mode next year either. So I'm excited for the next handful of years.
Well, we're excited for you to answer our WMIX Sports social media question of the week, and this week's question is, if you owned a sports team or a franchise, what nickname would you give them?
Can I just purchase the baseball team out in Denver and keep it? I mean, that would be ideal if I could own the Rockies. I mean, I wouldn't probably mess with anything. Maybe just spend that money, I guess, rebranding the team on the pitching staff if they desperately need. That'd be okay with me. That'd be all right.
Well, I see that's because you just want to keep everything purple in your whole wardrobe.
That's exactly right, Mr. Zerwinski. That's the reason I became a Rockies fan, because they had colors similar to Harrisburg. So can't go wrong with the purple and white and black everything.
Oh, I thought it was because somebody else in Saline County had those colors.
There's none of that yellow that's no question.
I know, I got you.
Oh, man. Jeffrey, of course, have fun with the Carmi Invitational next week. I'm sure it was a trip to go down there to Dyer County, or Tennessee, and but probably well worth it for the Bulldogs, and hopefully we will see them make some noise come postseason time.
Appreciate it, guys. I know it was a fun experience, and standing room crowd down there, a wonderful facility in Dyer County, and despite the 2.5-hour trip from Harrisburg, it was fun. You guys had a good weekend as well.
That is Jeffrey Drake, news director at WQRL, WMCL, and Wish FM, and then, of course, voice of the Harrisburg Bulldogs on WEBQ. That was the Carmi-White County Invitational Tournament. We still need to talk the Midland Trail. That'll come. Little Illini will come up next. We'll also talk the 40th Benton Invitational Tournament with Ron Winemiller. All still to come in this busy 9 o'clock hour. We need to take a break. When we come back, it's Rob Flanagan, head coach of the Olney East Richland Tigers. They, believe it or not, they are the number 6 seed in their first year of the Little Illini Tournament. That is a loaded tournament this year up there in that part of the state. So we'll take a break, come back. This is the Saturday Sports Show presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
America is a nation on wheels. Everyone has at least one automobile. We use them for shopping, work, everything we do. But they can be a threat. Some accidents can't be prevented. Your professional Pekin Insurance Agency, Page Insurance on Crown View and Mount Vernon, can help protect you from a large financial loss when an accident happens. Call Page Insurance today at 242-7000 about low-cost auto insurance from Pekin Insurance. Ask them about the many money-saving discounts that are available. Depend on your hometown professionals.
Pekin Insurance.
Hi, this is Star Reed with People's National Bank in Mount Vernon. People's National Bank is focused on providing the best possible customer service and products to meet the needs of our customers. If you aren't receiving the products and service you deserve, maybe it's time to make a change. Change the name of your bank for the last time and make the switch to People's National Bank.
People's National Bank, proudly serving Southern Illinois since 1909. Member FDIC.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend that time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital with our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge. The entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com/faster to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
And we welcome you back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Glad to have you aboard as we preview the midwinter tournament starting, well, some start today, and of course, many will start on Monday night. Of course, our next guest is the head coach of the Olney East Richland Tigers, Rob Flanagan. Coach, good morning.
How are you, Chris?
You know, doing pretty good. And you know what? We knew that when Olney and these Apollo schools made the jump to the Little Illini, that it was going to kind of wreck their midwinter plans, and they were going to have to come to this conference tournament. What I didn't necessarily realize at the time is just how loaded this conference tournament was going to be this year when I see a team like your Tigers, the number 6 seed in the Little Illini tournament. That's a pretty good tournament.
Well, I don't. That's probably where we should be in this tournament. I mean, we knew going in. I think, you know, maybe some of your listeners around that area, you know, may not be as up on our area a little bit, but you know, we knew it was going to be a transition period for us. We have a team where we have no seniors, and I'm not singing the blues, and I'm talking about. I'm just giving you the facts of this. We don't have a whole lot of size. We've played a lot better here lately. I mean, we won 6 out of 7 games, and you know, just starting a freshman, starting a sophomore,
and they're both key players for us, and then 3 juniors, and I just kind of have done a lot of experimenting and working through things. And we knew when we came into this season that it was going to be like that. We lost a lot of guys off of a 27-5 team that basically, short of the Pinckneyville tournament and the sectional, we won everything that we were in last year, and we had a lot of experience to replace. And I knew that this conference, a lot of sport, when we left to go to Little Illini, everybody said, Coach, what do you think? What do you think of that? Well, I'm one guy, and what my opinion is about it. There are also football coaches, baseball coaches, track coaches, tennis coaches. There's a lot of other coaches that are involved when you make a move like this. It's not just basketball. And I felt all along that the basketball conference, the Apollo Conference in basketball is a tough, physical conference. It has good coaches in it. The Little Illini, I would put any of the coaches in the Little Illini. They could fit right in with any Apollo coaches, and in that conference as well. They're you got some guys that have been around that are very experienced. Newton, ourselves, and Robinson. Well, we won the Apollo last year. Robinson, I think, Newton was second, and another one was. We were 3 of the top 4, and we left. I think you throw Effingham in there along with us. So you took. Robinson's outstanding. They got a veteran team that's back. Newton's the same way. They've got a bunch of guys back. Well, that was not the case with us, and we knew that. So we sit here, and I'm not sure I can give you a lot of information on the Little Illini tournament because it's my first rodeo with it. But scouted it a few times in the past. But it'll be a new experience for me as well.
New experience for you, new experience for your team, because normally you're at the Carmi Invitational this time of year. Is that going to be a difference, getting only maybe 2 or 3 games instead of the usual 5 or 6 that you got down at Carmi?
It'll be different because Carmi was really good to us. We won. I think we were in the Carmi tournament for 9 years. Harrisburg, Mount Vernon, Indiana, Mount Carmel, Fairfield, Carmi, us. I guess I probably ought to mention a great hospitality room, too. I think that place in those 9 years, I probably gained 20 pounds just eating the good food they have down there. But, we won that thing 5 times. And for us, being the furthest school away, you had to be mentally and physically tough. You're playing in the middle of January. It's 50 miles down there for us, 50 miles back. That's 100 miles. Danny, your Waltonville education here. We did that 5 times that week.
Yep.
That's the Carmi 5. We called it the Carmi 500.
Yes.
And to be mentally tough enough with a lot of different teams, we're really proud of that. A couple times we got second. I think 3 times we got second and then third. So we won a lot of ball games down there, and it was always a taxing week. We always came out of that and played Salem, which was, has been a tough game for us, just due to the size and strength of their kids. And I don't think it'll be as taxing this year, just because of the travel and the amount of games and that type of thing. But I don't know. I can't say that. I could see us with our particular team this year. I could see Carmi really kicking our tail this year. Just from you got school, you got homework, you play every night, you're traveling on a bus every night. Like I said, one of the things I'll look back when I'm done and look at these Carmi tournaments and think, man, our teams, we were really physically and mentally tough to go down there and do that.
Well, looking back, I know it's 500 miles from the Ed Belva School of Driver's Education training I got at Waltonville High School, but with playing the same conference teams, do you mind playing those teams over and over again, or you think you're going to lose a little something by not playing somebody different during this time of year?
Honestly, Danny, you've known me a long time. I haven't really worried about that. I have a team. Most of my worries are about trying to get us a defensive stop. We could be playing, whoever, and just us getting better. It's a strange focus for me this year. Most of the time it's been on, and don't get me wrong, we're still trying to win and pursue championships and those types of things. But I also know that this is going to be a process, and I see that every day. We saw that in our game last night. It's just going to be a process of getting us. I never use the word. I have never used the word rebuilding. But we've had so many changes this year. I think we talked about this in June. That I have to have something that I'm not known for, and that's patience. And I think a lot of this stuff. I'm a guy that I like to know the lay of the land before I feel like I can really, maneuver the surroundings as well as I might be able to in the future. And I think with this season with us, there are some good teams in here, and especially in the upper echelon. I mean, you're talking, maybe for those people that don't know, Robinson is state ranked. They have a point guard that could play for anybody, Aaron Seiler. Newton is a veteran team, very well coached. We have some tremendous battles with them in the Apollo. They have a veteran team, pretty good size. I think they're 17-2. Robinson's probably lost maybe 2 games. Marshall is very well coached. They're always traditionally good. I think they're maybe 12-5, 11-5. Flores probably 13-3 or 4. Oblong has a chance. I mean, you guys know them from the Woodlawn action last year. I mean, they've got a kid that could play for anybody, and Anthony Johnson. And I'm sure. And Casey Westfield, we played them last night. They have the best guard, kids, a great player, great shooter, and Brandon Wolf. And they've got really good athletes. They're not huge kids. They're not 6'5", 6'6", but they're 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", and they're strong and they're athletic and they've been winners since they were in grade school. You have tough places to play. If you're upper echelon teams, and I don't mean to leave anybody out, then there's some other 1A schools that in 1A they're going to be pretty good. And we'll miss Carmi, but like I said, I might be a better interview on playing these guys again after we've done it once. I'm not sure I can give you a sound. I don't think the competition will be bad. It just may not be different uniforms from different schools that we're playing.
Of course, our final question, the WMIX Sports social media question. If you were the owner of a professional sports organization or franchise and it was up to you to name the mascot or the nickname, what would you name your team?
Pelicans.
The what?
It would not be Pelicans.
Oh, man. Do you think New Orleans is making a mistake by going Pelicans over Hornets?
Yeah. That's not good. Pelicans. My son looked at me and said, Pelicans? So, no, I don't think. Go ahead, finish your question.
But it upsets me because the mascot's name, the Hornets mascot's name is Hugo. And so that disappears now. Yeah. I have no claim to fame. All I got left is a hurricane. Right. That went through and did some damage.
Right. I forgot. You're exactly right. That is a nice. You probably used that before, haven't you?
You know what? I forgotten all about it up until they announced that they were renaming the mascot. I completely forgotten the Hornets' name was Hugo. But I mean, what would you name your franchise? Any idea?
That's a good question. I don't know. I would try to probably stay away from the. I think it would probably have to be something to do with the city. I always really liked the Supersonics nickname. Back in the late '70s when young Dennis Johnson and Gus Williams and Jack Sigma from Kankakee, those guys, when they won the NBA championship, I just thought that was a really cool team name. I don't know if I could steal that but I think it'd have to have some kind of theme with your city. Though I would not name my team here in Olney the White Squirrels. I would not do that. I would not do that.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I don't know. I would say something to do with the city that I was in. try to find a theme that was close to that.
Nice, an homage to the city. That works out perfectly. And hopefully the Little Illini tournament will work out perfectly for the East Richland Tigers. Good luck next week.
I appreciate it, Chris. Thanks for having me. Always good to talk to you guys.
Always a pleasure. Rob Flanagan, of course, the Mount Vernon native, spent some time in Waltonville and Sisney, if I'm not mistaken. Was he at Carterville?
Carterville.
Now, of course,
Sisney.
the coach at East Richland.
Olney.
Yep. Those are the stops, and there he is now, and they have the Little Illini tournament coming up next week. And, DC, we often rip on the conference tournaments, especially if you're playing each other twice in the regular season. And one of the conference tournaments we're going to talk about a little bit later on, their teams play each other only once, and that's the Midland Trail. That'll be last up at the 9 o'clock hour. We need to get to Ron Winemiller, head coach of the Benton Rangers. We're going to talk about the 40th annual Benton Invitational Tournament going on starting on Monday. That'll run Monday, Wednesday, Friday, with each team playing 2 games on Saturday. Saturday Sports Show is presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
Yeah, it's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
Hi, this is Star Reed with People's National Bank in Mount Vernon. People's National Bank is focused on providing the best possible customer service and products to meet the needs of our customers. If you aren't receiving the products and service you deserve, maybe it's time to make a change. Change the name of your bank for the last time and make the switch to People's National Bank.
People's National Bank, proudly serving Southern Illinois since 1909. Member FDIC.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend that time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital. With our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge, the entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com/faster to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
And welcome back to the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Glad to have you with us for last night's score and for last night's archive of the Mount Vernon Rams and the Carbondale Terriers. Log on to WMIXsports.com. We're on Twitter at WMIX Sports. We hope you'll follow us there and find us on Facebook as well, and also check out our YouTube channel. Easy access awaits you at WMIXsports.com. And, of course, Ron Winemiller is the head coach of the Benton Rangers. He will join us now here on the Saturday Sports Show. And, of course, the 40th annual Benton Invitational Tournament starts on Monday. And should be another good tournament, Ron.
Yeah, we're excited. It always is great to host your own tournament, and something that we look forward to every year. Anytime it seems like tournaments kind of pop up and go away, and anytime you can get to 40 years, that's a pretty good milestone. I saw the Winchesters having their 91st. So, when you can have a tournament that long, there's been a lot of good people to help sustain it over time.
The number 40 is significant this year, not only for the number of BITs, but also the number of wins in a row for the Pinckneyville Panthers at the BIT. Is this the year maybe somebody steps up and ends that streak, or is Pinckneyville still the favorite, being they've won that thing 8 years in a row?
Well, I get the same question every year, and you'll ask me the same thing a year from now if nobody beats them. Until somebody beats them, they're the favorite. I don't care what anybody says on paper. When you start talking about winning 40 games in a row in a tournament, that gets another team's head. We have not mentioned the streak. We play them right out of the gate. Everybody's 0-0 Monday at 6 o'clock, so that's what we're concerned about. And the thing is, you just got to go out and play and see what happens, and know that both teams are 0-0 when it starts on Monday, and see where you're at on Saturday night.
In addition to Pinckneyville probably being the favorite because nobody's beaten them in the past 40 tries at that tournament, Oakville probably coming into the season was one of the early favorites in that tournament. They're without, of course, Jeremy Weeke, of course, probably for this tournament, maybe I think a week or two after. Does that kind of change everybody's foresight into this tournament this year? Does that make it a little bit more competitive?
Well, yeah. I think, I was at Modern Day and watched what they did to Carlisle, and I really felt all summer and early on in the year that Carlisle was the hands-down favorite to win it. And, of course, they're playing without Hillis, however you say his name, who's a great player for them, and they've been playing without him for, they thought it was going to be 3 weeks. Now it's 5 weeks, and I don't know if he played last night. I haven't looked at the box score yet, but as of middle part of the week, he was not released. So, when you take some guys out of it, it definitely brings the field back, to those guys, or brings them back to the field a little bit.
But, it's a shame for Wakey. I feel bad for him in a way because, people in Benton are going to miss out on probably watching the best player in the tournament. I love that kid. I put him right there with Capel Henshaw in my book as being two of the favorite kids that I, when I go scout, enjoy watching because of how hard they play and they play the game the right way. And I just really love watching Wakey play. And from a preparation standpoint, it makes things easier for us. But from a competitive balance of the tournament, you'd really like to see a kid like that be able to play in it.
And this tournament, of course, keeps the same format, 5 games in 4 days. Of course, this quick turnaround of 3 games in 2 days next weekend. Speaking from that to your team a little bit now, with that tournament going on with the likes of Carlisle, Oakville, Cesarville, Hamilton County, Pinckneyville, and your host Rangers, 40th annual tournament, what does it mean to your kids in the community for the Benton tournament to go on this week?
Any place that I've been, when you host something like this, it's a little extra special for you as the host team. Our kids always played better in Hoop Fest when I was at Marshall. We always played better in Hoop Fest just because of what it was and what it meant to the kids and what it meant to the community. And, our guys are the same way. We beat El Dorado Tuesday, and I made the point to them in the locker room. I said, guys, I can rewind 4 years ago, a team that won in this very locker room that was kind of shuffling along and about where you guys were and started clicking. And I really think we're playing much, much better basketball than we were even at the holiday tournament. And, got hot at the right time and got out of that thing 4-1. And I said, there's no reason to think you can't either if you believe that you can. So I think our guys are excited. I think they're excited about playing Pinckneyville on Monday. And then, of course, you got the county rivalry on Wednesday. And then get to play a good Oakville team on Friday, and then Saturday play a good Carlisle team in the morning, and then a pretty good rivalry that's developed into with McLeansboro on Saturday night.
It's a good rivalry and a good week. One of those tournaments that stands out over the years is having that tradition of teams not only doing well at Benton or not doing well, but making that postseason run. Is it that important in the middle of January for this tournament to give teams that jump as it has been?
Well, I think, and I think that here's the thing about that, and here's the way I'll answer that question. That's a great question, Dan. You always come good. I think the big thing is you're settling into your rotation. And I think playing this many games in 4 days, it allows you to settle into your rotation and really give them long looks for a short amount of time because you don't have a lot of practice time to go back and say, well, Billy needs to sit more and Johnny needs to play more. I mean, you're kind of settling into your rotation at this time of the year. And I think that's where the guys can kind of catapult themselves because maybe that 7th, 8th guy that on a Friday, Saturday was getting 6 or 7 minutes a game. Now maybe he gets 14 or 15 on Saturday and really plays well and gives himself some confidence, which makes their team better. So I think that's the key to it is really kind of settling into your rotation and getting those guys maybe that don't play as many minutes on a normal Friday, Saturday for some extra time.
In this tournament in its 40th year, and you think back to the fact there's been very little turnover in this tournament, is it just because the tournament and the location and the tradition speaks for itself, or is it just, why has it been able to be so stable for so long?
Well, and this goes back before me. When I was a kid, the only team since 1988 or whatever, the only team that's changed is Cairo got out and Chester came in. When Olney decided to leave and Carlisle came in, I think it was 89 was the first year that Carlisle played in it. Picked a good year because they won the state championship that year. But that's been key to it is the fact that you're looking at over 20 years with just one team turnover. And, you see some tournaments that turn over 3 or 4 teams every year. But I think that the key to that is there's not so much familiarity. Our guys know that they got one crack at Pinckneyville this year. They know they got one crack at Cesar, one at Carlisle, and one at Oakville. And then if you don't do it, guess what? You got to wait 365 days to have that crack again. And my big thing is I don't enjoy playing the same team 6 times. I don't like that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go to a tournament where I know that I'm going to play someone for the 3rd or 4th time every year. So I think that's been key is that the conference affiliations have always worked out where one team on each side of the river, one team on each side of the diamond, and then you got a Cahokia team, and then Oakville being an independent. So I feel that's been the key to it working out as well.
Well, and you talk about not wanting to play so many teams so many times. How do you feel about a lot of these conference tournaments that start to pop up around this time of year?
Well, everybody's got to do what they feel is right. I know I would be adamantly against it in our conference unless we were to go to play everybody on both sides at once and then have a conference tournament. That's the only way that I would ever be in favor of it. But I just feel like some of these schools, I don't know. I feel like some of them just play these conference tournaments because they know they can compete with people in those conferences, and they don't want to get outside of that. You look at, I bet Crab Orchard, I bet they'll play Pope County and Hardin County 7 times last year. And that's fine if that's what they choose to do, but, Crab had a really good team last year. Could they have better prepared themselves by going and playing someone like a Madison in a shootout at Nashville, or coming to our shootout and playing at KZ Westfield? So, I think that some of these teams kind of get short-sighted a little bit. I know the SEC tournament's going away after this year. They may not even be playing it this year, now that I've said that. So, I think that that's the big case of it, is a lot of them, it's a money-maker for the schools in the tournament. But at the same time, I think you also got to do what's best for your program. And if you feel like that's best, then good for you. I wouldn't be in favor of it here.
Does it seem that we're kind of on the edge? We've had the class change. We've had the enrollment changes. Do you think there's something else maybe going to come down the pike that's going to change basketball in the landscape of high school of Illinois?
Well, I don't really know what other significant change they can make. They try to tinker with it here and there, but I don't think you're going to see any more classes added. I think there's been actual push to subtract and go back to 2. I just think the state tournament, no offense to anyone, I just don't think it's as good, because Friday doesn't mean as much anymore. And I say that because, man, you had to play your tail off on Friday to get a trophy. And now when you get on the bus at school, you're guaranteed one. And I think that the semifinal games, being on Friday being on Friday now, I've lost a little bit. The only thing I can see coming is I think before they touch basketball anymore, I think they're really gonna do something major with football. That's my opinion.
That's what I think too. Is football is going to be the next thing that gets touched one way or another. It's going to get messed with. I think it's the last sacred cow. But back to basketball, it seems to me, and the 4 classes have been good up here in this area for Woodlawn especially, but other teams as well. When you had that incentive, you were up there on Thursday. You had to win Friday, or you got the infamous boomerang trip back home. It seemed to me that there was more of a tension and tenseness and an atmosphere when that was going on. I'll say that. I'll agree with you on that point. When the opportunity was there to boomerang yourself back home if you didn't win that first game on Friday.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. You always worry about your draw. And I'll use Harrisburg for example. They're a team that's got state tournament aspirations, and rightfully so. That Randy would be very concerned about his draw on Friday. Did he draw the Chicago Super? Did he draw this team? Who can he start maybe looking at to find out some things about the 2 or 3 favorites up there? Can I get in the car and sneak up there and nobody know who I am and see them play in late February? But now I don't feel like you have that as much, because the state's so spread out that there's a good chance that Robinson could have to drive all the way to Carbondale to play in the Super, or T-Town. You're talking about coming from Effingham to Carbondale. And I think the big thing that we in the South have been very lucky with, and I think this is getting ready to happen, is what's going to happen when those teams around Effingham say, hey, this is not fair. We're going to alternate the Super between Carbondale and Eastern every other year. And then how somebody in Benton or Mount Vernon going to feel about having to drive to Charleston to see the Super Sectional. So, I think that with the 4 class, I think it was a knee-jerk reaction. I think it's been very good for Woodlawn. I think it's been very good in all sports for schools like Goreville. You can just go on through the list of schools that would have been good for or has been good for, but I think as a whole, it really hasn't been good for 2A basketball. And I say that because it's almost become impossible. I know Breeze Central won it last year. Robinson's won it. But, it's going to become very, very difficult for a public 2A school from the South to win a state championship, simply because you're going to have to beat a private school and a Chicago school, which is drawing from 60 miles away, taking anybody they want. So it's become much more difficult, and I think you would agree that 3A has probably become easier to get to the state tournament, but it's harder to win a state championship, So I think that's where you're at, but you got to play with the rules they give you and go from there.
What is tougher, scheduling football games or trying to get teams to fill a tournament these days?
Well, I think that the football thing has gotten kind of crazy. And Jeremy and I talk about this a lot, and I tell him the same thing. If I was a football coach, I would very much worry about my schedule. You want to get to 5 games. You want to make sure that, I'm sure that we're looking for a Week 9 opponent right now. I'm sure we could call Marion and they'd play us. I mean, I would almost guarantee that, or Mount Vernon. But do you want to do that knowing that you may be scheduling a game that you're going to win 1 out of every 10 or 12 years? So I think football is very difficult. I think what you're getting into now also is that closed conference. I think those are getting much, much more difficult. You look at just Elksville, for instance. If they quit playing football, what would those other 9 Black Diamond schools do? So that's difficult, but filling a tournament in midwinter is very difficult, just for what you guys said earlier, because of all the conference tournaments that are springing up. And as a result of that, once again, you could bring in someone with a local conference affiliation. We could probably go bring an El Dorado in if somebody were to leave our tournament, but is that fair to McLeansboro? So I think they're both difficult if you do them the right way. I feel like the Benton tournament's been a very good tournament. If we were to have an opening and were to need to look for someone, I think we're going to be very careful about who we brought in.
Well, and of course, it's hard to believe that we've been able to fill this much time. Actually, it's really not that hard to believe, but we have the WMIX Sports social media question of the week, Ron, and this week it is, if you were the owner of a professional sports franchise or organization, what would the name of your mascot or what would your nickname be?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
What was it? I will say this. What was New Orleans talking about going to? Was it the Pelicans?
Yep.
It would not be the Pelicans.
Well, you join Rob Flanagan in that aspect, that's for sure.
I think the main thing, I wouldn't worry about the mascot. I would want the colors. I've always said that, I'm going to show a little partiality, but I played in McLeansboro, but I always felt that Rock Falls had the best colors, dark green and black. I think those are the best colors. So I'm going to go with dark green and black, and I'll let somebody in the marketing department pick my mascot.
Whoa. Okay. You go dark green. There's so many hues of dark green. Are you more like a kind of a Kelly?
We're going
or dark.
We're going kind of a cross between Kelly and Forest. Whatever's between
so Hunter?
those.
Hunter green?
Hunter green.
Nice. That's a good look.
Chris Hugo must be like working out at Sherwin-Williams selling paint, knowing the different hues on his side job. That's what I can figure.
That he was always a smart aleck kid that had the 64 crayon box and didn't need it because he was told to get 8.
92.
That's right.
I always use the crown.
The teacher with me says get 16 colors. That's all you're going to need. He walks in with 64. Okay, put them up.
92 and the sharpener. But the one that got used the most was always I can't remember if it's a hard C or soft C in the pronunciation. Cerulean. It's like a bluish hue. It was my favorite color. But anyhow, all of that aside, I think that's a great color combo. Ron, I think you're a great dude. I wish you the best of luck in hosting the BIT this week, and good luck to the Rangers.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Dan. You guys know I always love coming on here and talking to you guys. You guys are two of my favorites, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Sounds good. Ron Winemiller, head coach of the Benton Rangers. Big tournament this week for them. We'll take one more break, come back. We're going to wrap her up with the Midland Trail Conference Tournament. It gets started on Monday night with the play-in games. We'll talk all about that after the break. Saturday Sports Show, of course, is presented by Crossroads Community Hospital. It's more than a hospital.
It's what healthcare should be.
Back after these.
With 2 new hospitals, trusted physicians, and dedicated staff, it's clear that our local healthcare industry is helping to make our community stronger every day. Hi, I'm Terry Prosize, a commercial lender and healthcare banking specialist at Community First Bank. I'm putting over 20 years of healthcare and business experience to work for our medical community and local businesses. Whether you have an expanding physician practice, an existing business, or hoping to start a new business, I have the financial prescription for you.
Community First Bank with locations in Mount Vernon, Woodlawn, Dix, and Ina. Welcome back to Personal Banking. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When an emergency happens, time is everything, and you don't want to spend that time in a waiting room. So choose Crossroads Community Hospital with our 30 minutes or less ER service pledge. The entire team is committed to working diligently to have you initially seen by a physician, physician assistant, or nurse practitioner within 30 minutes of your arrival. When minutes matter, choose the ER that doesn't waste time. Choose Crossroads Community Hospital. Visit crossroadscommunityhospital.com/faster to learn more. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, call 911.
Back on the Saturday Sports Show, WMIX, WMIXsports.com. Now to preview here on your Midwinter Tournament preview, one of my favorite tournaments. The bracket reads like the French instructions on a shop vac, but I mean, once you get it figured out and figure out what the times are and everything like that, a great tournament in the Midland Trail Conference. And of course, that gets underway on Monday with the play-in games. And of course, you have number 8 Weber and number 9 Wayne's. What's up?
I'm hearing things.
Yeah, you are. Number 8 Weber, number 9 Wayne City on Monday night. These games are at 7 at the higher seed. Number 7 Grayville, number 10 Noble, and then number 6 Clay City and number 11 Sandoval. Those are your play-in games to get to play a higher seed. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5 all get byes. You kind of take a look at these seeds. Woodlawn's the number 1, Sisney number 2, Waltonville number 3, North Clay number 4. And what should be another good Midland Trail Conference tournament, but I think, obviously Woodlawn's your heavy favorite.
Until Woodlawn beats him, like Coach Winemiller said about Pinckneyville at the BIT. Until somebody beats Woodlawn, they're the favorite. I mean, it's 4 years in a row. It's 16 wins in a row. Haven't lost since they stepped into this tournament. They'll be a 1 seed. And it sets up for a couple tantalizing matchups on Thursday night. Woodlawn North Clay, coast to host school, playing their own tournament. That was a title game last year. And then it'll be interesting to see Waltonville and Sisney, and that's the second game if everything would work out. So looking forward to those 2 games on Thursday night if they were to come to fruition.
And how huge would that be? And on paper, okay.
It won't be, I will say this, it won't be 09 where it was Woodlawn Odin and Waltonville South Central, or Woodlawn Sandoval maybe.
It's one of the two.
It was
Marlboro Miles.
It was Odin, yeah, and Waltonville South Central. Won't be that.
I think it was Woodlawn Odin.
Those 2 matchups that night was kind of electric atmosphere for the first year of the tournament. I think I juiced that tournament and that conference up quite a bit.
Well, and you kind of take a look at things, and I'm not one to argue seeds. I really thought the Waltonville Spartans would be the number 2. So it would be an upset on paper in terms of seeding. But if it was able to be a Waltonville-Woodlawn championship game for the first time since 09, considering that Waltonville hasn't been in the conference since 09, but for them in the years that they've been in it together, for them to come in, and you think back to 2007, 2008, before the Mid-South officially joined the Midland Trail, of course. You think back to all the naysayers, they don't know what they're getting into. They can't handle this conference once they get in. And, of course, 2 of those schools saying that are no longer in the conference. They're now in the National Trail.
Right.
And then coming in and just the domination from the Mid-South schools since that time. And, and that's no disrespect to North Clay or anybody like that. North Clay is a fantastic host of this tournament, of course, and they do a great job. And Terry Irvin and his staff actually always take care of us and do whatever is needed. And we appreciate them and can't wait to make the trip on Thursday. But you just kind of take a look at this tournament, and you see the possibility. It's going to be a Mid-South rematch, of course, on Tuesday night with Woodlawn. It'll either be Weber or Wayne City, and, of course, we'll have that game on 94.1. Then on Thursday night, we're on the FM as well. Audio for all these games, of course, on WMIXsports.com. After Thursday, of course, you'll have to stay tuned and see where we're going to be winning on which side of the dial. But, you take a look at this tournament. It has the makings to be a good one from probably the top half. Or maybe the top 5. You kind of take a look at things and how they've gone this year by looking at some of the games already played. But still should be a good tournament.
Sisney struggled with Grayville last night, and they're the 2 seed. And since Sisney won that Wayne City Holiday tournament, they've kind of stumbled and struggled out of the gate in the second half of the year. So you wonder if they can get things turned around, the ship righted to get in there and get going. Waltonville's a team with a lot of potential and starting to scratch that surface as they go with Brian Gamber along. So this tournament, as you say, I think it comes maybe from the top 3 or 4 seeds where somebody could come out of it. But the big question is who can beat Woodlawn, knock them off the perch they've been on for a while.
Exactly. And to be the man, you have to beat the man. And Woodlawn has not ceased to be the man, of course, in that tournament since 2009. And, you kind of take a look at the bottom half. We talked about the Waltonville Spartans, a team that could make some noise in this tournament. Kind of the wild card at the 3 seed, probably should have been the 2. But you kind of look up and down this bracket, and you take a look at North Clay, a team that Woodlawn beat pretty handily on Tuesday night. That's the 4 seed.
Yeah.
So really even maybe the top 3 with the best chance of coming out with that one. But you never know. If you had to play a North Clay in a semifinal, if you're Woodlawn, that on their home floor, we've seen them dispatch of North Clay at Louisville before. It could happen again, but all in all, and maybe it's the homer in me, but I would love to see a Woodlawn or Weber and Wayne City and Waltonville championship game.
Yep.
Any of our showcase teams.
The more the merrier as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Of course, we'll do as many Midland Trail games as we can next week, of course, on WMIX AM and FM. Tuesday night, we're at Woodlawn for Woodlawn and either Weber or Wayne City. Thursday night, we'll do both semifinal games, barring a Weber appearance in a Thursday night game. We might have all 3, but we'll do the Thursday games from North Clay High School on WMIX FM. Busy week of basketball. You can find our schedule updated every day at WMIXsports.com as far as where we are going to be and when. On Monday night, we're at Carbondale for the Mount Vernon Lady Rams, of course, as they will take on DuQuoin in the Carbondale tournament. That is a 7:15 pregame on WMIX FM. We'll have video at WMIXsports.com. Of course, Tuesday we told you we're at Woodlawn. Wednesday we are at Salem for the Mount Vernon Rams and the Effingham Hearts. That's a 7 o'clock start with a 6:45 pregame on WMIX FM. Video, no video. Video blackout at Salem High School. We'll have audio only on your mobile phone at WMIXsports.com. That'll be the case the entire tournament. Thursday, of course, we do have the semifinal matchups from the Midland Trail Boys tournament. Then on Friday, Saturday, anybody's guess. You'll just have to stay tuned to us and WMIXsports.com. And best of yet, find us on social media, Facebook and Twitter. We're on Twitter at WMIX Sports. We break a lot of breaking news on Twitter. You'll have to follow us there to stay up to date always on all types of subject matters. And WMIX FM is also your home for the conference championships and the Super Bowl again this year. So you'll be able to listen to some National Football League postseason action next Sunday and then again on February the 3rd as the NFL winds their season down toward the end. Oh, yeah, I can't forget about tonight. Just because I'm not there doesn't mean it's not happening. The Woodlawn Cardinals travel to Memorial Gymnasium on the campus of Heron High School on showcase action tonight on WMIX FM with audio on WMIXsports.com. Should be a good one between Woodlawn and Heron. Didn't mean to not talk about that. I don't have my broadcast schedule in front of me. It was pointed out, and there we go. This has been the Saturday Sports Show today. Thank you on WMIX Mount Vernon. Back next week.